And then 3 through both nostrils, breathing in deeply, holding the breath for a count of 1 and exhaling again 3 times. And then for a minute, just being simply with the breath at the tip of the nostrils, being with the quality, the softness, the clarity of the breath as we naturally inhale and exhale through the nostrils, just being at the tip there. Just to again, liven up our mind a little bit more, settle the mind a little bit more for the main body of the meditation. Okay, so just starting with our motivation, visualization for the practice. So when we invite Tara or any other Buddha or holy being in our practice, we want to try and imagine, first of all, get the feeling, even if we can't visualize, just imagining, getting the feeling, the sense that we're in a beautiful place, a place that sort of captivates all our senses. This is a place where the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas abide, holy beings in sort of pure lands. We call them pure lands. It's like a picturesque park or an enchanting forest or garden. Tara's Pure Land's actually similar to a forest that's got this sort of turquoise hue, just like the colour of our body. And it's filled with trees and plants that are sort of bountiful with the sight and smell of delicious fruit. So we try and imagine, when you've been into this beautiful place, a garden, a park, or maybe something you create yourself in your own at your own place, in your own garden. Try to imagine this around us. Being in this park, it's got this sort of turquoise hue to it, everything. And it's filled with trees and plants that have, just captivate the senses with their beauty. There's an array of beautiful wild flowers with vivid colours spread on the ground, like wildflowers, as far as our eye can see. And the ground is soft yet firm to the touch. And around are birds chanting the melodies of Dharma. So in Pure Lands, all you hear is the sound of Dharma. Everything appears like a teaching or a chant, something melodious to our ear, that invites us, inspires us to practice Dharma, to practice virtue. And you can imagine delicious foods, You know, beautiful lights. There's a beautiful light just encapsulating the whole place, maybe like rainbow light. So just being in that place, we feel naturally this sense of joy and peace. We get filled with that sense. And then on top of our crown, we visualize this place. We've kind of visualized an environment where Tara can appear and manifest. Pure place. It's all made of light. And then due to that, Tara just sort of spontaneously starts to manifest on her crown. So you can either visualize, as we did last week, the guru, our guru, with Tara seated in his heart, or simply, you know, the image of Tara, the being of Tara on this beautiful lotus, soft lotus made of light. Again, just the scent that we can smell, you know, the scent of the lotus. We can feel the moon cushion that she's seated on, just illuminating her whole being. And again, our whole body has this hue of turquoise light, and it holds this precious quality like a precious stone. She's wearing divine silks and ornaments. Again, showing the sort of precious quality of the perfections that she embodies. No, even when we know someone's patient, they have this kind of, you know, beauty. Patience brings about a beauty in someone. Morality, those who live in pure morality, they have this natural beauty. So she's perfected patience, morality. She's cleaned the mind of karma and delusion. So when it's cleaned, the natural beauty of the mind comes out as well, the natural quality of kindness, compassion, when we remove anger, fears, attachment. So all those jewels that she's wearing, armlets, necklaces, the jewel crown, it's all just encapsulating the 6 perfections that she embodies, you know, the beauty of those inner qualities. So whether she's appearing in the you know, deep in the heart of the guru we visualized, or simply there on her crown, our whole being, it kind of is moved by this wish. Our whole responsibility is to guide us out of samsara. In every waking moment, every pore of our being is just filled with this bodhisattva attitude, the perfection of that, the vow, the commitment she's taken to release us from samsara. And upon us calling her, doing the practice, to guide us through the whole path to enlightenment. So her presence on our crown, just like when we meet our spiritual teacher, if we have one, that her presence brings about a type of faith or energy to practice virtue, to really inspire us to become enlightened, to become like that. She is, after all, the liberating mother, embracing us in every moment, bringing us that energy, that courage, that fearlessness to keep walking the path, you know, to move through our delusions and to have all the courage, all the enthusiasm, the joyous effort to keep developing our mind on the path, not just for ourselves, but so many beings who will benefit from our spiritual development all the way up to enlightenment. So many beings are waiting for us to develop bodhicitta. We have karmic connection over so many lifetimes and many beings. So that much more we develop, that many more beings we can help. After all, we're all suffocating right now in samsara. Even we don't understand the deep ramifications of our own samsara. We can see in the world there's so much suffering. What's called the suffering of suffering. And that comes through a deeper set of causes and conditions. That for those of us who have taken bodhisattva vows, aspire to bodhicitta, we need to try and really develop that mind to get out of samsara for them. Each of them being our kind mother and father, brother, sister, over many, many lifetimes. So we have this kind of responsibility to try and, develop our mind as much as possible. And in this way, we're going to develop it in connection with Tara to try and unify our body, speech, and mind with this quality, Tara, the liberator, freeing us from all the deepest fears and guiding us to all the precious qualities up to enlightenment. Renunciation, bodhicitta, wisdom realizing emptiness, all these qualities she's embodying. So with that thought, bodhicitta attitude, then we going to recite the refuge prayer together. So first we make this heartfelt prayer. Please remain, we say together, above my head until I receive enlightenment. Try to feel that whatever we visualize or imagine, she's really here, there, Guru Tara, and totally immersed in our practice, our meditation right now with us, guiding and blessing us. Then again, for all sentient beings, vastest space, we recite, take refuge in Tara, take refuge in the Dharma that holds us from suffering, take refuge in the Sangha that support us through the path. Sangye chodan sogi chognamla chanchu bardu dagni kyapsuchi dagi jinso gebe sonange rola penjir sangye drupar sho sangye chodan sogi chognamla chanchu bardu dagni kyapsuchi Dagi jinso gebe sonangi drola penjir sangi drupar shog. I take refuge until I'm enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By my merit from giving and other perfections, may I become a Buddha to benefit transmigratory beings. So to collect merit, purify, we always perform the 7 limb. With my body, speech, and mind, I devoutly prostrate. So we try to imagine prostrate at the feet of Tara. Just thinking about our qualities. The seed of what is within us, we have Buddha nature. And then the qualities that's in her, that are Buddha nature fully developed. She's like a reflection of that fully developed. I offer all offerings, both real and imagined. Offering, if we have any on our altar, we offer. In Vajrapani here, we have flowers and lights and water bowls. So whatever we can imagine mentally and what we've actually got, we offer. Whatever we enjoy. And it kind of ignites a bliss in Tara by receiving them, by seeing them. All sins and offences amassed from beginningless time, I confess. What's weighing on our mind that we need to kind of regret and purify? Just offering that up to Tara. I rejoice in all the virtues, actions of holy and ordinary beings. Here, we just take a moment to rejoice. We have this freedom to practice Dharma in our lives. We've met spiritual teachings that can definitely benefit our hearts and minds, valid teachings. We have valid gurus, holy beings who embody the qualities. How wonderful it is, how amazing it is. Our good fortune, the qualities of all these holy beings, our teachers, our guides, our beings that have come in the past that inspire us. And each one of us here, having the aspiration, the wish to develop our mind, at least, if not all the way through the path, but at least momentarily trying to develop and kind of transform our mind into virtue, into something more wholesome. How wonderful that is, how amazing it is. Trying to feel a sense of joy, that's what helps us to practice always, is joy, joyfully. All gurus and Buddhas, please remain until samsara ends and turn the wheel of Dharma for sentient beings. All my virtues and those of all others I dedicate to the great enlightenment. So dedicate everything there for all beings, vast as space, friends, family, everyone to achieve enlightenment. Then we offer a mandala. So if you're familiar with the mudra, we can do that. Otherwise, just again, imagining what we tried to do in the beginning, a pure land, a pure place, somewhere we enjoy, but it's filled with an array of offerings. And if we know the traditional mandala offering, we can offer that. We try and offer it to the heart of Tara, what we have and what we can imagine. Saji bogi jushimedo tramri rablingji nye de gyambadi sangeji hindumete uwaryi drogun namdagjina Chuparsho. The objects of my attachment, aversion and ignorance, friends, enemies and strangers, and my body, wealth and enjoyments. Without any sense of loss, I offer this collection. Please accept it with pleasure and bless me with freedom from the three poisons. Yedam Guru Ratna Mandala Kamneyatayami. So again, Tara's receiving all our offerings, very delightful, delighted and happy. So when we do this purification here, it's a bit like when we get the Jenang or the empowerment, we get a blessing of the body, speech and mind. So we can feel in a sense that we're being empowered here. We're receiving an empowerment for Tara that purifies our body, speech and mind. So we request, please bless me to purify all obscurations of my body so that it will become one in essence with Guru Tara's holy Vajra body. White light emanates from the Om Arya Tara's brow and curves and enters my brow. My body is purified completely of all obscurations and becomes one in essence with Guru Tara's holy Vajra body. So again, that white light coming in, entering, feel like it's touching the light, just like moonlight touches us, when we look at it, it does touch us in some way. Touches and moves us, especially the crown, or in the brow, here. Cleansing our body of sickness, disease, negativities, with the body harming ourselves and others for beginningless time. And then embedded in that light is the quality of Tara's holy youthful body. All the jewels and ornaments, the vibrance of the green light, the youthfulness she embodies. And also the energy she embodies. She comes to us swift like the wind, so it's incredible energy that the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas have. So we receive all that through the brow and the inside that white light, filling us up. Then the request for the speech, please bless me to purify all obscurations of my speech, so that it will become one in essence with Guru Tara's holy Vajra speech. Red light emanates from the Arya Tara's throat and curves in an arc to enter my throat. My speech is purified completely of all obscurations and becomes one in essence with Guru Tara's holy Vajra speech. So we feel, that from Tara's throat, all the qualities of speech, that we see, like someone like His Holiness the Dalai Lama, they all have close connection with Tara. How much his speech, the power of the speech that they hold, thousands of beings come to hear that speech and it really has a deep impact on the mind. So that speech, all the saints, all the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, our gurus, curves into our throat chakra. And we feel that we really receive that quality of their speech that purifies our impure speech, impure karma, lying, stealing, divisive speech, harsh speech, these obscurations that dull our speech and then purifies them and gives our speech this power through the red light, filling our throat chakra. So third part, we could say the initiation, receiving the blessings of the Holy Mind. Please bless me to purify all obscurations of my mind so it will become one in essence with Guru Tara's Holy Vajra mind. Blue light emanates from the Homa Arya Tara's heart and curves in an arc to enter my heart. My mind is purified of all obscurations and becomes one in essence with Guru Tara's Holy Vajra mind. So the blue light, sort of deep blue light, springing forth for Tara's heart, and then entering into us, filling us up like an ocean, in our heart chakra, center of our chest, dispelling our fears, immediate anxieties, problems, and the deeper levels of karma and delusion in the mind, and filling us up with the deep, peaceful wisdom of Tara, the beauty of bodhicitta that she embodies. Then we request, please bless me to purify all delusions and subtle obscurations to omniscience, so that my body, speech, and mind will become one with Guru Tara's holy body, speech, and mind. So this time it's like rainbow light, but white, red, and blue coming together, just filling us up completely. And we can think Om from the Om Ah Hum as well, syllables from her. Circling in an arc, entering my three places and completely purifying all my delusions and subtle obscurations to omniscience. So we get completely cleaned our consciousness, like we clean a mirror. Cleaning the mirror of our mind. So our body, speech, and mind becomes one in essence. So all that beauty that she embodies, the lotuses, the indestructible quality, diamond-like essence of our mind, that's always in concentration, always in wisdom, always seeing all the minds of all sentient beings, always embracing all sentient beings with a deep love, compassion, that's unceasing. So we feel we just get filled up with that love and that deep level of wisdom that she embodies. Then from top to bottom, the Guru with Tara in the heart, or just Tara, like mist in a mirror, dissolving into a small ball of radiant, blissful light. And it enters through our crown, and just as it enters into us, flows into us, that green light, through our chakras, the crown, the throat, the heart. All of a sudden, we just go into this deep space with Tara. And the view, this dualistic mind, this separation that burdens us all the time, it completely disappears, and we're one with this ocean-like, sky-like quality Tara. And there's no sense of I. It's just this deep, unending peace. This is me. Deepest state with Tara. This is me, one with all enlightened beings. This is me, unceasing bliss. And And in that, from that deep space, it's like the deepest, deepest part of the deepest ocean. So peaceful, but so clear. And also a great luminosity. Springs from that. We arise, if we have the initiation, we arise in the aspect to Tara. Or if not, from that space, we imagine again ourselves and Tara arising on our crown from the space of emptiness. This is called Dharmakaya, truth body. And from there, Tara, the enjoyment body, Sambhogakaya, starts to appear. Either ourselves visualized or Tara on our crown. My heart is a lotus and moon cushion. Tam is in the center. It's like the deepest center of our heart, embodying the essence of Tara in this seed syllable. And surrounding clockwise the mantra Om Tari Tutari Turi Soha. And spontaneously, as we visualize Tara, light goes out. And purifying, just this is the activity of the Buddhas, constantly light going out, green light, purifying all beings and placing them in the state of Tara. From that Tam and Tara mantra. So all beings, even the animals, all beings, become enlightened as Tara. So every being becomes this nature of emptiness and bliss unified. And then on the tips of those green rays, we offer beautiful offerings, flowers, lights, perfume, delicious foods to all the great beings, the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, that delights our senses. And because of that offering, they send forth from their hearts, again, all the blessings, all the beings who have achieved Tarahood in the past, the lineage of lamas, lineage of practitioners, all the way back 2,500 years since the Buddha. And even before that, many Buddhas and Bodhisattvas have come to this realm and achieved enlightenment and brought all beings to enlightenment. So all the power of all the great beings, all the practitioners of the past, shower down on us. And we imagine this shower of rain filling us up as we chant the mantra together. Just keep visualizing that. Om Tari Turi Soha. 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 Om Tari Tu tari tu re so ha om dari. 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 Tu tari tu re so ha Om Tari Tu Tari Tu Re So. And in that space, just feel like our whole being, every particle, blood, bone, flesh, every part of your being is either blessed by Tara or is Tara. This unification at emptiness, wisdom, and method, bodhicitta. The two wings of the path that we want to develop. We feel every single pore in our beings being transformed into this quality Tara. This embodiment of wisdom and compassion, bodhicitta and emptiness. This is me, my ultimate nature. In that space, there is no I, no individual, self-existent, dualistic sense of I. How the I appears to me normally is completely non-existent. It's not that I don't exist, but what my ultimate nature is this very subtle appearance that's one with Tara. Appearing while empty. The holy body appears, but it's made of light. It's made of blissful wisdom. So this is my ultimate nature, this blissful wisdom that recognizes my ultimate nature. Okay. So just trying to give you a little bit idea. Some of you are already familiar with this meditation, but some of you, maybe the meditation's quite new. So just to give you a little bit idea how to meditate on it, I hope that was helpful. It's very good, even though we don't have a clear understanding of emptiness, it's really helpful just to remind ourselves at the end when we absorb Tara, when we, even if we don't have the initiation, just to try and remind ourselves that always like how the I appears to us, as Lama Zopa Rinpoche said, just reminding ourselves on a daily basis that how the I is ordinarily appearing to us moment by moment, day by day, hour by hour, that's not correct. That's the wrong one. Even if we can't get to the right one right now, which takes a lot of listening, reflecting, and meditating on the teachings and emptiness. But just at the end, all the time at our end of our practice, just to dedicate in emptiness, remember that that's where we want to go to. We want to get the right view of how we exist. It's not that we don't exist, but we exist in this nature of emptiness. So just to plant that seed all the time, if we can't do anything else, just keep that planting, keep planting that. So that's really important at the end of these meditations or any practice if we can to dedicate an emptiness or just keep planting the seeds just of our wisdom, cutting through, just trying to each time cut through this wrong view I, how it appears to the mind. Did anyone have any questions with that practice? Was it kind of clear, or did anyone want to ask anything? I didn't go through some of the prayers really extensively, which we may not have time for because mostly now it's going to go through the rest of the meaning of the mantra. I know some of you are quite familiar with a lot of these prayers anyway, but did anyone have a particular question about any of those prayers? No? Okay, so we shall go on to the...
Angie,
Yes, there was someone.
this is John.
Yes, John.
I didn't have a question about the mantras, but I
Yeah.
do have a question about whether one should recite them out loud whenever possible, or if it's okay to simply voice them in your mind silently.
It's a good question. So generally our level, as it's really good to say them. It's kind of like you're supposed to recite them. Not, I mean, out loud you can, if you want, like out loud. If you're on your own, that's great too. But mostly speaking, when we recite mantra, we're supposed to say it kind of under the breath. So we do express it, but we say it, especially if we're doing a few malas. So you want to say it kind of, and also when you're in your house, in your own meditation room, you can say it louder or softly, but we are still supposed to not just say it mentally in our mind, but actually say Om Tari Tutari Turi, actually express it so you can just hear it. Yeah? Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, it's definitely because there is a practice here where we can do a certain amount of mantras, like 100,000, 200,000, 300,000, and that gives a certain benefit to the mind when you accumulate a certain amount of mantras. So doing it in a retreat context, it gives a certain blessing, a deeper connection with Tara. It's called, as I mentioned, I think before, a nearing retreat. So you become closer to the holy body, speech, and mind of Tara when you do these, accumulate a certain number of mantras. It's wonderful to do that type of retreat, like 100,000, 200,000. Has anyone here done a Tara retreat, a green Tara? I know some of you may have done Chitimani Tara, the High Yoga Tantras, but anyone done a green Tara retreat? Sue? Yeah, how many mantras did you accumulate, Sue?
I just did 100,000, so it wasn't, I guess it doesn't count, but it was good. It was very good.
Yeah, it's a beautiful retreat to do because and it gives you a sense when you do, and it doesn't take very long. Do you remember, Sue, how long it took you?
Yes, it took me about 2 weeks, but I was taking my time too.
Yeah. You could probably do in about 10 days. It's nice to take your time if you have the time. But when you do something like accumulate 100,000, it really gives you a feeling of it, isn't it? So it gives you a feeling of the practice, yeah?
Yeah.
And what it does is it opens up, it purifies the mind, and you start to, if those of us who are practicing Lam Rim, studying Lam Rim, the gradual path to enlightenment, we're maybe doing classes like Discovering Buddhism, or we've done in the past, when you do something like a Tara retreat, which Sue, you were probably doing with some Lam Rim.
Yes.
So what it does, yeah, it complements.
And I was doing meditation too.
Meditation. Well, Lam Rim is meditation, though.
Oh, I mean, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. But you were doing your meditation on emptiness and like that.
Yeah, that depth meditation.
I'd like to say something.
So if you're studying and practicing the Lam Rim to do, a retreat like this with some Lam Rim, which can be, any of the parts of Lam Rim, there's a lower scope, middle and higher scope that we're going to mention just briefly in this class. Combining these together is really amazing. You get a really rich feeling of who Tara is. And also, like, you get a deeper feeling of these topics in the Lam Rim, like death and rebirth, you like karma, precious human rebirth. It kind of brings these topics to life when you combine these. With Tara practice, there's other practices you can do as well, but the purpose is to combine both together. This is Lama Tsongkhapa's, this tradition is the combination of Sutra and Tantra, so it's using both sutra and tantra together to kind of bring both to life. We need both together, you know. So it's really great if you have the opportunity to do something like a Tara retreat and combine it with Lamrim, and also with that, even the meditation and emptiness gets a bit deeper, a bit more profound when you accumulate more mantras. The mantras wake up these kind of understandings in our mind. So it's very rich. It's very nice to do that if you get the opportunity. Just a little advertisement there.
Could I say something?
Yes, yep.
I'm just gonna say that I haven't done a strict Tara retreat. I did a 5-day Tara retreat where I did a lot of mantras, but I was also
Yes.
doing Lama Sankapa Guru. I was doing other practices too, but I did do what I considered setting up a Tara retreat for myself for just 5 days in my house when I lived alone once, and just not even doing the whole Nundro, the 100,000. You can have a great experience of just like, at first, it's like the Tara dance. At first, I feel a little like silly. I'm trying to like do something, create something in my imagination. But then you take on this feeling of the power of Tara, that she blesses you, and you get this experience of, you know, feeling like you become Tara a little bit. And it's probably, Sue had probably a lot more with doing it longer, but anybody can just try that on their own sometime if they have time.
Thank you for sharing, Julia. Yeah, very inspiring. As you say, you don't have to do 100,000. You can just do a few days. Good. So last week we talked mainly about, you know, again, the qualities of Tara mantra. Yeah, just sort of touching on these, you know, how the Tara mantra frees us from these 8 types of fears, you know. So the fears were, some of them were elephants. You know, I'm not going to cover that again this week, but elephants and ignorance, Mara, the demon of doubt, and external demons, imprisonment and miserliness and greed. And we just went over a little bit how these are related, thieves and wrong views, and also snakes and jealousy. So we covered sort of that aspect of the mantra last week. So what we want to kind of move into is the last part. So that's what you have Om Tari Tutare. Tutare is mainly liberating from the 8 fears. So the last aspect of the mantra, Ture, relates to liberating from disease. So, of course, that's one of the aspects of Tara. She's a healer, you know. We can do Tara practice for healing as well, to remove disease. So externally, she frees us from disease. And by the way, this is Lama Zopa Rinpoche here in the image when he was very young. And Rinpoche, this is a beautiful statue that still stands. I think this picture was probably taken in the 70s. Early 70s at Kopan, our main monastery in Nepal. And this Tara statue still stands outside the main monastery. It's just covered now. She's in a little beautiful glass house now. But Rinpoche used to really enjoy doing the artwork, doing any kind of artwork, but particularly the faces, you know. So this is a beautiful, special Tara statue that they have at Kopan Monastery, and Rinpoche's doing the artwork on the face there. So yeah, Ture corresponds to liberating from, of course, external disease, but it also corresponds to the first, as I mentioned before, the first 2 truths were Tari, embodied in Tari and Tutare, liberating from the first 2 truths. So Ture liberates from the last 2 truths, the cessation of, the truth of cessation. And it's more related to the wisdom side of the teachings, because just as Tara liberates us from external diseases, you know, like sickness, any kind of harm for the body, she also liberates, the main one she's liberating from here is the disease that I mentioned, this disease, this ongoing problem of us identifying with our own sense of self, you know, the wrong view that we have of reality, of ourself, of others, of phenomena, that's coming from ignorance, you know, grasping at a wrong view self. So Ture embodies the cessation of suffering, and that cessation of suffering only comes about when we develop the wisdom realizing emptiness. Yeah, that's the main antidote. So we can get a huge amount of qualities and realizations, but to liberate us from the wheel existence, for the turmoil of samsara, from, continual rebirth, the only antidote to that is wisdom. Wisdom realizing emptiness. That's the main antidote. I think it took me a while to really get that in the teachings, I was like, it took me a while, but I don't know about everybody else, but it took me many times to hear that. It was like, oh wow, that I really need to get that one to get out of samsara, to realize the Four Noble Truths, And of course, the last truth. So the four truths are, again, as we went over last week, I sort of questioned a few of us, but I'll just mention them this week. The truth of suffering, what are the main problems that are going on in our lives? The truth of the cause of suffering. The third one is the truth of the cessation of suffering. So the truth is that we can cease all these problems, all these random things, all these day-to-day things, as well as the deeper causes that come from, they come from. So that's the truth that the Buddha taught. And then he taught the true path. So the whole mantra is the true path, that's the practice. But Turi particularly relates to this third truth, the truth of cessation, liberating us from the main disease that causes samsara, is the ignorance. The cause of that is the ignorance grasping at a wrong view of self. So this is how, in that way, as Lama Zopa Rinpoche says, the whole mantra embodies all the teachings, the Four Noble Truths, where we want to go, what we need to develop in ourselves. These have to become our four truths. And also it can encapsulates, the first two truths encapsulate the sort of what we call the method side of the path. And then Turi encapsulates the wisdom side of the path. So the whole mantra also encapsulates wisdom and method, or bodhicitta, compassion, and the wisdom realizing emptiness. There's different ways you can express that, but again, we need these two aspects continually to develop them. And that's the beauty of Tara. All these practices we can develop simultaneously, wisdom and method at the same time, bodhicitta and emptiness. It's just the beauty of these practices, the sort of skill of Tantra, where we can develop them simultaneously. Whereas when we practice sutra, we can only meditate on one at a time, a meditation on either compassion or a meditation on emptiness. We can only do that one. We can't do two meditations with our mind at the same time. But the uniqueness of all these tantric practices, whether it's Kriya Tantra or Hatha Yoga Tantra, by, again, especially when you get the realization or the empowerment, the empowerment or the initiation in this practice, it allows us to be able to meditate on bodhicitta, method and wisdom at the same time. That's the kind of quality of these practices. So it makes it a quicker path. So again, if we then practice Sutra and Tantra at the same time, studying and practicing the Lam Rim, and then using these practices to kind of help purify the mind, then that becomes really, really rich and very balanced practice in this tradition. Then Soha is a little bit like, one of the translations was, it's a bit like Amen. In the Christian tradition, at the end of things, you say Amen. Well, in one way, it was a bit translated like that. It means kind of so be it, or well said, But Lama Zopa Rinpoche would say that it really means what we might want to think more, which has more power or meaning, as at the end, it may all the blessings of Tara, may her all qualities be firmly rooted in my heart. So that's Rinpoche's translation of it. The literal translation is so be it, or well said, like Amen in Christianity. But Rinpoche said, Rinpoche's translation is, may all these qualities embodied in the previous part of the mantra, may they become firmly rooted in our hearts, one with our hearts. So as I mentioned, I was just going to go over briefly as well, in terms of the Lam Rim. The mantra also has a meaning in terms of how we relate to the Lam Rim. So we all were given the short green Tara practice, and at the beginning of the practice, it actually goes through the motivation for the three types of beings. So that's why I thought I would mention this as well, many of us are familiar with these motivations, but, excuse me, just to clarify a little bit more. And they are, because they are mentioned at the beginning of the practice. So, you know, what's Tara? She's guiding us from all these different fears and dangers that we meet while we're in samsara. She's also guiding us for something that's called lower nirvana, you know, and leading us to this sort of perfect state enlightenment. So that's kind of the three main things that are, in a sense, embodied in these three levels of capable being. So by reciting that mantra as well, we receive the blessings and establish in our heart the qualities of these three capable beings, because they're in these different aspects of the mantra, as you can see here. So in terms of just the Lamrim in general, I did talk about, mention a little bit about Lama Tisha. Lama Tisha is very, very important being in this tradition. That's why I sent you the. Did anyone have an opportunity to read over? I know some of us are maybe familiar with Lama Tisha's life story, but if you're like me, I read it and then I forget bits of it and I have to reread it. Did anyone have a chance to read the life story of Lama Tisha? I sent you a sort of abbreviated version. David, you read it, yeah? See you nodding. Mary, did you you were nodding as well? Yeah? Or you've read it in the past? Mary as well. It's really, you know, for me personally as well, especially when I'm in retreat, it's so inspiring to read the life stories of holy beings, you know. And Lama Tisha has a particular significance because he was the one, as you read in the life story, for those of you who did. First of all, in terms of Tara, he had a very strong connection with Tara. And he also was the one that composed the first Lamrim text. So before Lama Tisha, I mean, there was, you know, Lama Tisha came to Tibet. He was asked to Tibet because there was a lot of confusion around how to practice, as I was talking about, this combination of Sutra and Tantra. Some people thought, you know, some traditions thought, even teachers were thinking, well, you only practice Sutra, you don't practice Tantra, or you only practice Tantra and you don't need Sutra. So all these kind of misconceptions were arising. So a great king, or, you know, invited Lama Tisha through great hardship to himself, you know, invited Lama Tisha to come to Tibet, and Lama Tisha eventually accepted through the guidance of Tara. And when he came to Tibet, one of the main things he did, one of the most important things he does, that not just to benefit Tibet, but is benefiting us now, is put together the teachings of the Buddha, the 84,000 sets of teachings, in a very concise way that was enabled like us, lay folks, you know, to be not just monastics, but general practitioners, you know, to be able to practice in a very concise way. So putting together what it was called the lamp for the path to enlightenment. That was the first text that was put together. And actually, FPMT have it's a free publication called Illuminating the Path. And it's a teaching that His Holiness gave on that a preliminary text that Lama Tisha put together, Lamp for the Path, or sometimes I think this book's called Illuminating the Path, but it's based on that text. So if anyone's interested, you can just go and read it and download it off at FPMT. And it's very nicely, it's a really beautiful teaching by His Holiness. And it's not too long, so it helps you to go through these in a sort of more succinct way, the path of these three capable beings. But anyway, when Lama Tisha was asked to go to Tibet, you know, he also consulted with Tara, you know, and he was actually in Bodh Gaya and he had a vision of Tara at that time saying that it was, you know, it would be most beneficial for him to travel to Tibet and it would shorten his life by 20 years. But Tisha, no, being the great holy being he was more concerned about the benefit he could bring to sentient beings. So he accepted to go there, and as a result, he died at the age of 72. And it was said that he would have lived into his 90s had he not gone there. But I guess, I don't know, but I'm imagining the climate in Tibet is quite different from India, you know. So I would imagine that had a big impact, possibly on his health as well. So anyway, this was written in Tibet by Lama Tisha, the stages of the path. So what he did, and again, so really you could say again, these whole teachings, the sutra teachings that we're able to practice because they're very succinct now, came from the kindness of Tara, because it was Tara that guided encouraged and inspired Lama Tisha to go to Tibet. So, as I say, she's like the backbone for all these holy beings, you know, the female energy. So, what, you know, what would, does anyone, some of us have been practicing studying Lamrim for a while. The path of the lower capable being. So what's the sort of motivation for those on this first one, the path of the lower capable being? What's the motivating factor there for someone on the lower path of lower capable being? Anyone want to?
I know.
Yes, I heard I know.
It's to have a good rebirth.
Yes. So basically, I mean, so that, you know, for Westerners, yeah, that doesn't resonate very easily, right? When you first hear it. There's not just like, so when I was quite new, when I was quite new as well, I mean, I'd become a nun, and Lama Zopa Rinpoche sent me to a place in India. I was living in the East, and I went to one place where the Buddha did a lot of retreat there. He spent 3 months a year called Sravasti. It's a very, very blessed place because the Buddha would spend every year, I think over 25 years, he would go there for 3 months and do retreat with all the Sangha. So Rimshi sent me there, and one day there's a lot of pilgrims that come there, and there was a lady there was a bunch of pilgrims. I was staying in a vihar, it's like a little mini monastery that was from the Burmese tradition. I think it was for Burmese tradition. So many pilgrims come, and because I was a monastic, they were offering food. And this lady offered food, you know, it was very devoted, you know, they are in that country to monastics. And she offered me food, and she says, please pray for my family, me to have a good future rebirth. And I was like quite surprised because I'm like, well, don't you want to get enlightened? It felt like kind of like, is that all you're praying for? You know, at that time, because I was like, I'm going to get enlightened, and I was so motivated. But, you know, of course, in that country, they're so steeped in the Dharma that this kind of idea, you know, they're steeped in karma, they're steeped in reincarnation. So that motivation, sort of just being acknowledging within themselves that motivation, that's what, you know, that's what I'd like you to, that's where I am right now. I just want a good future rebirth. It's so kind of natural for them. So it just struck me, you know, because when we study the Lamrim in the beginning, it's not easy to think, well, is this all I'm praying for, like a good future rebirth? Is this the first motivation? You know what I mean? Am I communicating here? It's not culturally, it doesn't resonate with us, you know. But so that's why we kind of have to study a little bit the nature of consciousness, continuity to mind, and then get to the point where we sort of understand more the qualities that one needs to develop through the middle path and the higher path. And then we start to say, okay, well, maybe that's okay. I need to just be happy with that right now, you know. So what do we do? What's the main practice we follow to be able to initially at least try and embody and get some sort of kind of guarantee in a way that we would have a good future rebirth? What would we mainly follow in that path of the lower capable being? What would be our main practice? Of course, studying Lamrim and planting seeds for enlightenment, but what's the main aspect of the practice in the lower capable being?
Leading a virtuous life.
Yes, you're right. Leading is practicing morality. I mean, mainly it says in the Lamrim, practicing morality in terms of abiding by the 10 virtues and avoiding the 10 non-virtues. You know, taking vows, trying to have as moral a life as possible and not harming others as much as possible with our body, speech and mind, refraining from harm. So that's what guarantees a good future rebirth, is the kind of practice of morality. That's one of the main causes. And then combined with the practice of generosity, just being generous where we can. It doesn't mean giving all your possessions away. It really means just having a generous spirit, you know, as much as you can with whatever you have available to you. So the main cause is to kind of ensure as much as possible on this first path, you know, is to practice, you know, have a virtuous good life, you know, purify when we can, collect positive energy when we can, practice generosity. So that's the kind of main motivating factor that we try and encompass in the first sort of level of motivation to bring about that. So that's encompassed it in Tari. We're requesting Tari at least to help us with that, guide us through that, because we do want to avoid, and again, it's not easy. They also talk about, the first level of refuge. What's the first cause of refuge that's related to this? The first cause, there's 3 causes when we take refuge, when we recite that refuge prayer that we're trying to develop that brings about our deeper sense of refuge in us in the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha. And what's the first cause that's related to Tari and the lower capable being?
Non-harming.
Well, that's good, but it's a little bit different. Any ladies want to have it? Yep.
Is it
Ah, good.
renunciation? Yeah.
Renunciation, not quite so. It's more in the second one, that one. This is the more tricky one as well, that again, our mind doesn't naturally go to that place in our culture because it's not, we're not brought up with Buddhism. So the one is, it's actually like having a sort of fear of the lower realms, yeah? Remember that for the classes? We used to have a lot of discussions in the group about this one. There was a lot like, whoa, a lot of resistance to that one. I mean, I can't say I've got that totally myself. When I think about it, it comes, So what do we mean by the lower realms? Well, some of us, we might not have accepted the existence of the lower realms right now, and that's okay. And I mean, at this level, maybe it's okay. We can't see the spirit, some of us can see spirits, but we can't see what we call the preta realm and the hell realm, but we can see that there's these hellish places on this earth, That's obvious. I mean, there's more hellish places than sort of pleasant places right now, I think, There's so many beings struggling with starvation, in either hellish states of mind or living in hellish environments, So even if we can't see there's other realms like that, we can see it already in this world system. So it's a little bit like we wouldn't want to, if we do have some conviction in the continuity of consciousness, we wouldn't even want a human life in that situation. So it's kind of like that, there's a sense of, but for Westerners, it doesn't always work because we kind of feel like fear can be a bit neurotic, and we don't want to get into a sense of neurotic, but sometimes fear, when we think about it more deeply, fear can be a highly motivating, positive factor. For example, Rimshi used to talk about, and we've probably all been in these situations when we're in a fearful place, but Rimshi would use the example when in the Himalayas, Rimshi was from the Himalayas, and they often had to cross really treacherous mountain passes to go from one village to the next, or to go and get food or supplies or to take their animals. I mean, it was very, very dangerous, in these short mountain paths. And there was places, Rimshi would say, where there was many rocks falling all the time. So they would recite these, they would be chit-chatting, the group, the chat, and then immediately when they came to the dangerous place, they would start reciting these mantras because they knew that there was a danger of falling rocks in these paths. So as soon as there was a danger, like everybody was quiet and they were reciting these mantras, the Guru Rimshi mantra. So actually, that fear, you see, brings them to virtue. That fear causes them to take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha and start reciting mantras. And Rimshi said, the rocks, he said, would go through these passes and then the rocks would be falling when we kind of got there, and then we'd chant the mantras, then you get to the end of the passes, then the rock would start falling again, but they're already through the passes. So it's a little bit like that. It's a bit like there's certain things where fear is a good, fear, we all know that fear's really good, I mean, I know that, if I'm on a flight and there's too much turbulence, I'll turn off the video, the movie, and I'll be reciting mantras, So of course it should be like that every day. But so you see what I mean? So when you have these kind of understandings more of the lower realms, or, especially maybe when we get older and we're getting closer to death, that might bring us into a place where I don't know where I'm going to get reborn. I need to do more virtuous practice, When there's a fear of death, a fear is something there, then we do take a sense of refuge, and something that we feel is definitely more powerful than where I'm at right now. So that's really that type of fear we're talking about. But holy beings, saints who have got this sort of realizations, they have that all the time. That it's like it's an awareness that causes you to jump into practice, just be in the practice all the time. I think it's like a bit like that. I don't have it, but that's how Rimshi would sort of, he used that analogy, you know, so that's kind of, you know, but the main one in the lower case is like really like saying, okay, at least right now I can practice virtue, not harm others. If I can, take vows because they're very powerful. And some of us have done that, or some of us already taken bodhisattva and tantric vows, which is amazing as well. But at least lay vows, you know, to as much, practicing as much morality as possible. The middle capable being, Sue, you mentioned something about renunciation. Do you want to elaborate on that a little bit? For the middle capable being? Where are we there?
What,
Tutari.
oh, tutare. I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know which, renunciation, so what?
So the path of the middle capable being, what kind of being is, what's the quality of mind of that being who's in this sort of middle, you know, in this middle capability? What would be, what you said something about renounce, what would be your understanding of the middle capable being?
Well, you're not attached. I don't, I've been sitting here thinking of it and I can't bring it up. So, because I knew you were gonna ask me. And I'm sitting here, but what is it? All I could say is that renunciation, so you're not attached to this life in particular, you're not attached. You can have more freedom because you don't have the attachment, but I can't remember the answer.
Well, isn't it like bodhicitta, like renunciation goes with bodhicitta? It's like we want to develop ourselves to achieve enlightenment. And I mean, because the next one is the great capable ability. I guess that's, anyway, that's your next question, but doesn't it have to do with creating the purpose of this life is, well, the last one is Mahayana to benefit others more than yourself. But isn't it also like looking at your own enlightenment, working for the benefit of yourself and others? See, I'm getting confused with the second and the
Yeah,
third.
let's, Julia, David's got his hand up. Let's ask David.
So
Thanks.
the middle path is for self-enlightenment. That's the concern of the middle path.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I just said to be enlightened. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, you're all hitting on the points there. So we're all hitting on some part of it.
Liberation. Is
Yeah,
that
so
it?
so basically when we enter into the middle capable being, we're starting to get a deeper understanding of samsara. Yeah, when you go into those topics in the Lam Rim, you're really going into a deeper understanding of the Four Noble Truths, a deeper level of our blind spots, what's really blocking us. And as David said, from achieving liberation, at least getting ourselves out of samsara. So, and as you said, Sue, to do that, we need to develop renunciation. We need to feel like what the middle path guides us through is developing renunciation, developing this strong sense, clarity that I want to get out of samsara by understanding suffering and the causes of suffering, how it's operating in our mind and how it's causing us to suffer, the main causes of suffering. So we have to, it's really in this part, we're trying to get a deeper understanding of the evolution of our own suffering and then developing, as you say, Sue, a renunciation, a wish seeking to get out of that. So that's the main body of the middle capable being, really going more deeply into the understanding and the realization of our own suffering, and then developing I need to get out of that. And on that basis, developing concentration and developing this special insight that is, cutting away at the main problem of ignorance, grasping at true existence. So that's the work. That's the quality of the middle capable being. So you're all touching on it there, it's just like we need to getting it really clear. That's what a middle capable being, someone has that capability because it's more difficult, it's more tough than the first one. It's already hard to practice morality, not harming others, where body, speech, and mind, trying to ensure a good future rebirth, but trying to get out of samsara, well, that's more tough, isn't it? Because that's really going into deeper blind spots and it takes a lot more work and effort. But that's the mindset. It's someone who's really striving for that and practicing, developing calm abiding, special insight, the main two causes to cut through the wrong view of self. So that's what Tutari is doing. It's trying to, it's embodying, that embodies those qualities, that ability. You know, it's giving us that ability to develop, you know, that kind of potential to develop this strong mind, this brave mind of renunciation, you know, that really, really is focused on that. Because you need the renunciation, you need to develop the wish that really wants to get out. Otherwise, as you say, so we just get caught up in the day-to-day and the here and this and the family and the this and that. They just become distractions. So it's quite a process to develop that middle path. So by reciting the Tara mantra, it's giving this, it's creating seeds and imprints, a power for us to really develop that, you know. So Turi, the last part of the capable pathway, the higher capable being, as Julia, you were saying, the more, so that embodies the higher capable being, the more we are able to practice bodhicitta and cherish others more than ourselves, the closer we will be to Tara, and the easier it will be for her to offer us help quickly. So this higher capable being, so of course for all of us, I think we'll have little bits of each of the capable beings. We haven't fully embodied maybe all of them, speaking for myself. I'm sorry, maybe, you know, you touch on all of them when we do these practices. It's just good to know what is the kind of, what it really embodies each of these capable beings. But Turi, so Turi really embodies this practice of renouncing our strong selfishness, you know, and really trying to embody this bodhisattva vow of training the mind to cherish others, you know, on the basis of love and compassion, developing this really brave bodhicitta attitude through the practice of the 6 perfections to achieve enlightenment for all sentient beings. So that's an even braver and higher quality of mind than even, as you were saying, self-liberation, David. So, but the beauty of this mantra is it helps us, it's planting seeds every time we recite it to develop all these 3 capable beings in our heart. You know, and that's a quality practicing Sutra and Tantra together. We're trying to like place imprints of all these 3 capabilities in our mind all the time. So that's what Tutari embodies, and that's what Rinpoche, this is a beautiful image here. I think Lama Rinpoche and Kajala were doing a Tara puja here. I think Rinpoche had ordered these special Tara tankas and they were consecrating the tankas. So I thought it would be nice to include this in here. So, and as Rinpoche says, the best way where we really become close to Tara is when we try to really embody this bodhisattva attitude of even like the small things I do, dedicating it to develop bodhicitta, this really, really incredible mind that we see in the qualities of His Holiness, Lama Zopa Rinpoche, has these qualities to reach and touch and benefit so many sentient beings. Enlightened mind, you know, so even Lama Tisha, you know, he had studied Sutra and Tantra extensively throughout his life, but he still yearned, at one point in his life, he had still yearned the method. It says in his life story that would bring him to full enlightenment. He hadn't, you know, in his view or whatever, he hadn't achieved full enlightenment. So again, it happened in Bodh Gaya. He went on pilgrimage to Bodh Gaya and made prayers. And when he was circumambulating the stupa, he had a vision of Tara. I think it was either Tara, I saw in another description, it was 2 females that appeared, 2 young girls, and they were debating with each other, but they were probably emanations of Tara. And so he was just watching, and one of them said, "What's the most important practice for achieving enlightenment?" And the other, either Tara or young girl, said, "The practice of bodhicitta supported by loving kindness and great compassion." And from that, Lama Tisha realized it was some sort of blessing from Tara, the deity, that he needed to go and, you know, really study and practice and achieve this method of bodhicitta. And that brought him to, he actually traveled overseas. It took 13 months in a dangerous, in a boat, you know, at that time was super dangerous. And he studied under a great master called Sir Lingpa, who was known, he was most known for his practice of bodhicitta. So he studied under him for 12 years to develop this mind of bodhicitta. So, and so that's, you know, what's really that's the sort of goal we want to go to. So I think we can see all of us have a little bit of all of those qualities, all of those abilities in us, you know, and we're just slowly trying to make them more and more strong in our mind, you know, and we can all relate to all of them. But they do build on top of each other, because you can see if you have the first one, if you have the strong understanding like how, we don't know where we're going to pass away at the death time. That can really motivate us a lot, the death and impermanence, that realization, to really practice really purely. And on that basis, understanding karma. And then on that basis, really starting to deeply understand the nature of our own samsara and developing this mind that wants to get out of it, when we really understand that well. And then on that basis, understanding all beings are in samsara and then developing a wish to free all of them. They're all like stronger and more, higher qualities of mind, and they benefit people more and more the more we develop them in our own hearts and minds. So that's where the capabilities come in. And just to finish, because I wanted to invite the ladies now, the other way we can say in a simple way is the meaning of the whole mantra. Lama Zopa Rinpoche says, to finish, to you, the embodiment of all the Buddha's actions, I always prostrate with my body, speech, and mind, no matter what my circumstances, happy or unhappy. So that can be a more simple meaning of the mantra as well. And this is just a nice image of here, sorry, I went forward a little bit. The Tara mantra, surrounded by the seed syllable tam. So even each deity has a seed syllable, and even the seed syllable encapsulates the quality tam. It encapsulates all the qualities of the deity. And each deity has this seed syllable. It's the sound, the resonance of the deity in the form of in a seed syllable. It's our essential energy. So when we're doing the visualization, sometimes we can just focus on that tam syllable, because it's very powerful. If we get clearer that visualization in our mind. So because we're moving into, what did I just do there? I'm going to stop the share. And I did want to have a little bit of time for the ladies just to share maybe just your experience of doing the Tara dance. Julia, you want to start?
Sure. Well, my story goes back to when we first got introduced to it and we're being taught the 21 dance of the 21 Taras. I used to feel a little bit silly when I would start dancing because my visualization wasn't very good, and I had a hard time in my mind thinking of the embodiment of the energy and specifically the deity. Well, over the practice of doing it, even in that first time when we performed the 21 Praises dance, I really had a transformation with that. And it got over the years, all the different times, because we pretty much danced at most years. Either we did for Lama Zopa Rinpoche at Amitabha Buddha Pure Land, and we did it here on the Pontificus land. But I started actually feeling like Tara was like coming into me, and I was like, especially when you use some of the mudras and postures and the dance and stuff, I started really feeling like she was coming into my own essential nature of my mind and body, with the experience, it very like experiential. And then I started having experiences like with a little bit like with my statue. That's another thing on my altar and things like that. I just felt like she is very available and willing and able to like reach out to us and enter us and be part of who we are through that experience. So I'm kind of just blah, blah, blah. But it was like a big deal because at first I was kind of like, oh, I'm never going to have a feeling about being able to do that. And it actually really happened.
Good.
It was reformed or whatever.
Thank you. Thank you, Julia. Mary, do you want to share? Mary Engel?
Sure. I love doing the tar dance. I feel like, I like to swim, and when we're doing the mantra and dancing, it feels kind of like it's like swimming in light. Like Tara, there's a certain kind of energy there, and when you dance, you can feel it, you can move through it, and I just really enjoy it. I have a good feeling about it.
Thank you. Kim, what about Kim? You want to share, Kim?
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it's a meditative, it's an expression, it's a meditative expression. One of the things you get to go through is all the qualities of the 21 taras. And so there's a mudra or a gesture. And for those that don't know or haven't seen it, I'd recommend going to taradatu.org and see the nice story about how it was created by a woman named Prema Dasara as an offering to her holy teacher. And it has been offered to His Holiness the Dalai Lama. And it's just a really lovely expression of all the different qualities. And like Julia said, after you do it for a while, it does get easier. And I had the good fortune to have the empowerment when I first learned it. So it's very nice. Like Mary said, it's kind of like you're not in your body. I sort of feel like I've got Tara's light body on when I'm dancing. So it's a very special feeling.
Great, thank you. Sue, did you want to add anything or share?
Everybody said really good things. I guess the qualities, like it was said, kind of, they can come if you can, while you're dancing, think of those qualities and that you absorb, they are coming in. And those qualities are just beautiful. And so you could feel it if you can get non-conceptual. So it's like it becomes non-conceptual, and then the qualities are absorbed. And then my granddaughter did it, Avi, and she really likes it too. This is her second year that she did it. And so it was nice to see that too, that I think it helped her. It helped her to feel not empowered like like a mellow, humble way, kind of, but just self-confident would be a good word.
Actually, it's a good point. I think Tara practice is very good for self-confidence as well, because she's courageous, she's the courageous one. So all these practices in Tantra are actually very good for self-confidence because they're very purifying, and they clear away a lot of that kind of low self-esteem or, the tendency to beat yourself up, not feel, empowered, self-empowered, So these deity practices are very powerful for that as well. So thanks for mentioning that, Sue. Anyone else? Life has meaning. You've done the dance as well, have you? Would you like to share?
Yes. Well, they said it, but it's the qualities. Dancing the qualities makes you feel, like you become the qualities. It's and you can give them, and that I can see what radiant, joyful, those kind of qualities come in as an expression, and it feels, I feel happy doing the dances.
Good. Thank you, Life Has Meaning. Thank you for sharing. So we're getting to the end of time. Does anyone have any other question? I mean, we didn't go really deeply into all the prayers, as I mentioned, in the practice, but I wondered if anyone else had sort of anything more that they weren't clear about. I think main thing was going through really the different meanings of the mantra. And hopefully inspiring you a little bit to do more of the practice, at least to recite some of the mantra. Hopefully it gives you that inspiration. Of course, there's always opportunities to do Tara Puja as well. There's a lot of centres that offer that, including Vajrapani Institute here. We offer one a month, which I usually, most of the time when I'm here, I'm leading that. So you can always join up if you want to offer that. I don't know, maybe Pamtingpa or Taoist group. Do you ever do pujas? Pamtingpa, you still do some pujas from time to time?
Once in a while we do. We go through phases.
Yeah. So, and as Taoist group, John, do you do many pujas there? Not so much now? No. Well, you can always join in, and there's, as I say, no, John?
Yeah.
Not so much doing pujas, yeah?
Whenever we've done them, we're lucky to have maybe one additional person come. But as you were probably going to say, it's widely available at other centers to do Zoom.
Yes.
And I think some of our members do that.
Yeah, yeah. So we have them. I know to Norboling and also this centre here, we offer Tara Puja. So it's a way to kind of, get your Tara practice and ignited again as well. It's a bit more extensive than the Sadhana, but it's still a lovely, it's really nice to do. It's very energizing. We also recite the praises during that time as well, so it gives a lot of energy to your practice in your life. Just the praises are recited. That's a very common practice they do in the monasteries as well for removing obstacles and for success. So hopefully, you get maybe a chance from time to time to join in a puja at one of the centres. So let's just finish with dedications, as we usually do, and we'll do the swift return prayer for Lama Zopa Rinpoche as well, one of them. So as Lama Zopa Rinpoche always dedicates, we try to think not just of dedicating all the positive energy of this class, of all the 4 classes that we did, ourselves individually, of each one of us here. And then Lama Zopa Rinpoche always suggests to dedicate not just our own merits, but the merits of all beings and all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, not just now, but in the past, in the present, in the future. So just making the dedication as extensive as and powerful as possible, bringing in all that positive energy and dedicating it here towards actualizing bodhicitta, actualizing emptiness in these 2 prayers. Oi Janju Sencho Rinpoche, Magi Panam Gyurshi, Yeba Nyamba Meba Yi, Gone Gondu Pelwar Shug. May the precious Supreme Bodhicitta not yet born arise. May that arisen not decline but increase more and more. May the precious view of emptiness not yet born arise, and may that arisen not decline but increase more and more. Samsara and nirvana lack even an atom of inherent existence, and cause and effect independent arising are unbetraying. I seek your blessings to discern the meaning of Nagarjuna's thought that these 2 are mutually complementary and not contradictory. And for His Holiness's long life. Oji tengam dir bende malupa, ganle jumwe zambel yishino, karin zume tenzin gyatsojo, kuse tenshin du shilin drupshog. Saviour, the snow land of snow teachings and transmigratory beings, who extensively clarifies the path that unifies emptiness and compassion. To the lotus holder Tenzin Gyatso I beseech, may all your holy wishes be spontaneously fulfilled. And then for Lama Zopa Rinpoche's swift return. So here, if it's new for anyone, this was composed by His Holiness the Dalai Lama, to always dedicate as much as we can for Lama Zopa Rinpoche to come back and be, to have all the conditions to be a great teacher again, and for us to have the special karma to receive teachings from his incarnation. Peerless teacher and assembly children of the victorious one, Shravakas and Prachika Buddhas, victorious Losam, father and sons, along with the lineage masters, all the objects of refuge of infinite lands, please bestow the virtue and goodness of accomplishing this prayer here and now. Holding and spreading the Muni's precious and complete teachings through explanation and practice. You wore the armour of patience that is never discouraged, and comparable Venerable Guru, to you I make request. For striving single-pointedly for the sake of the victorious one's teachings, the sole gateway through which all benefit and happiness emerge, and for mother living beings you suddenly departed to peace, what a great loss. Nevertheless, through the undeceiving truth of the blessings, the ocean of the 3 jewels, and the great ways of bodhicitta, the children of the victorious ones, may the smile of reincarnation swiftly beam in glory for fortunate disciples. And then we just dedicate generally for Tao's Centre, Siti Garba in Pantingpa, to continue to benefit sentient beings as much as possible, have all the conditions to be able to do that, and to be it's like a light or sun shining in the world for sentient beings. And for all the students at the centres to have a long life, for all their Dharma wishes to be fulfilled, and have lots of success in your Dharma practice, lots of energy and inspiration to keep practicing in this life. Okay, thank you so much that's us 4 classes. Sue's waving.
I'd like to say too, for you, Venerable Angie, that you can have good health and long life and come back and teach us more because it was very good.
Thank you.
So I request you to do more. We can do more together.
Well, I
We
think
would
I'm coming
love that
back in
very much.
January already.
What do you
I
say?
think I'm coming back in January already. Certainly for Tao Centre, I think. We're still discussing it, but I think I've got
Oh, yeah.
Yes, we look forward to you teaching on karma, Venerable Angie, and I'm so great, and I'm so grateful that Pamtinga allowed us to participate in these teachings, and I think we're talking about Pamtinga joining with us for the teachings on karma in January as well.